The sky above Karath IV burned crimson, streaked with the trails of plasma and debris. The Xytherian armada hung like a swarm of locusts, their sleek, obsidian ships blotting out the twin suns. On the ground, the last remnants of the Galactic Coalition's 17th Defense Legion clung to their fortifications, a patchwork of trenches and plasma-scorched bunkers. Commander Vrencal, a grizzled Tarshan with scales pitted from a dozen campaigns, surveyed the battlefield through his visor. His mandibles clicked in agitation. The coalition was losing. Badly. Status report. Vrencal barked into his comms, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hearts. Perimeters holding, but barely, came the reply from Lieutenant Sorin, a feathered Avari stationed at the eastern flank. They're hammering us with orbital strikes. Shields are at 23%. We've lost half the autocannons. Vrencal's eyes narrowed. The Xytherians were relentless, their hive mind tactics overwhelming the coalition's fractured alliance. The Tarshans, Avari, and Xytherians had fought bravely, but their numbers dwindled by the hour. Karath IV was the last bastion before the Xytherians reached the inner systems. If they fell here, the galaxy would follow. Any word from command? Vrencal asked, though he knew the answer. None, Sorin said. Reinforcements are a fantasy. We're it, Commander. Vrencal turned his gaze skyward. The Xytherian dreadnoughts were moving into position for another barrage. He'd seen their kind before. Mindless, efficient, unstoppable. Or so they thought. A faint signal crackled through his comms, cutting through the static like a blade. Coalition forces, this is UNSC Indomitable. Do you copy? Vrencal froze. The voice was unfamiliar, clipped and precise, with a cadence he didn't recognize. This is Commander Vrencal, 17th Defense Legion. Identify yourself. Captain Elena Marquez, United Nations Space Command. We're inbound with the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet. ETA. 17 minutes. Hold the line. Vrencal's mandibles parted in disbelief. Humans. The coalition had dismissed them as a primitive, fractious species, barely worth a footnote in galactic politics. Their world, Earth, was a backwater, their technology laughably outdated. Yet here they were, answering a call no one else had. You're humans, he said, unable to mask his skepticism. Damn right, Marquez replied, a hint of amusement in her tone. Sit tight, Commander. The humans are coming. The next 17 minutes were a crucible. Xytherian drones swarmed the trenches, their razor limbs slicing through armor and flesh. Vrencal fought alongside his troops, his plasma rifle spitting defiance as he gunned down a drone that had pinned Sorin beneath its claws. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid stench of burning circuits. The shields flickered, then failed entirely. The bunkers groaned under the weight of orbital fire. Hold the line. Vrencal roared, his voice carrying over the chaos. His soldiers rallied, their resolve hardened by desperation. The Tarshans dug their claws into the earth, the Avari took to the air to intercept drones, and the Xytherians unleashed their sonic disruptors, shattering enemy formations. But it wasn't enough. The Xytherians pressed forward, their numbers seemingly infinite. Then, a new sound split the sky, a deep resonant hum that vibrated in Vrencal's bones. He looked up, expecting another Xytherian salvo. Instead, he saw them, angular, blocky ships unlike anything in the coalition's sleek arsenal. They were ugly utilitarian, bristling with what looked like oversized cannons and missile pods. Human ships. The Indomitable led the charge, its hull scarred but unyielding, flanked by a dozen smaller vessels. Coalition forces. This is Marquez. We're engaging. Keep your heads down. The human fleet didn't hesitate. They barreled into the Xytherian armada, their weapons blazing. Missiles streaked through the void, detonating in brilliant flashes that tore through enemy hulls. The Xytherian ships, optimized for swarm tactics, faltered under the humans' brute force assault. Vrencal watched, stunned, as a dreadnought cracked in half, its wreckage spiraling into the atmosphere. On the ground, the humans deployed. Drop pods rained from the sky, slamming into the battlefield with precision. Armored figures emerged, moving with a reckless confidence that bordered on insanity. Their suits were bulky, patched together from mismatched alloys, yet they wielded weapons that spat fire and kinetic rounds with devastating effect. The Xytherian drones, so precise in their movements, couldn't adapt to the humans' chaotic, unpredictable tactics. Vrencal joined the fray, fighting alongside a human soldier who introduced himself as Sergeant Patel. The human was shorter than Vrencal, his face obscured by a visor, but his grin was audible. "Nice day for a scrap, yeah?" Patel said, unloading a burst of rounds into a drone's core. "You're insane," Vrencal muttered, dodging a plasma bolt. "Gotta be," Patel laughed. "Keeps us alive." The humans fought like they had nothing to lose. They charged into enemy lines, used crude explosives to collapse Xytherian tunnels, and even turned captured drones against their own kind. Vrencal saw one human, barely armored, wielding only a vibroknife, tackle a drone twice his size, laughing as he drove the blade into its neural core. It was madness. It was magnificent. In the command bunker, Vrencal and Marquez coordinated the counteroffensive. The human captain was younger than he'd expected, her dark hair pulled back tightly, her eyes sharp with determination. She studied the holomap, her fingers tracing Xytherian troop movements with unnerving precision. "They're hive-minded," Marquez said. "Take out their command nodes, and the drones collapse. We've seen it before." "You've fought them?" Vrencal asked, incredulous. "Not these ones," Marquez admitted. "But we've got experience with things that don't quit. Call it a human specialty." She outlined a plan, a simultaneous strike on the Xytherian ground nodes and their orbital command ship. The Coalition would hold the line, drawing the enemy's attention, while human strike teams infiltrated the nodes. The Indomitable would lead a suicide run against the command ship, supported by the Coalition's remaining fighters. "It's reckless," Vrencal said. "You'll lose half your fleet." Marquez shrugged. "We've lost more for less. You in or out?" Vrencal hesitated, then nodded. "In." The final assault was chaos incarnate. The Coalition forces dug in, their weapons blazing as they held the Xytherians at bay. Sorin led the Avari in a daring aerial assault, weaving through drone swarms to buy the humans time. On the ground, human strike teams, led by Patel and others, moved like specters, planting charges at the Xytherian nodes. Vrencal fought at the front, his rifle overheating as he covered their advance. Above, the Indomitable charged the command ship, its cannons roaring. Xytherian interceptors swarmed it, but the human fleet fought with a ferocity Vrencal had never seen. Smaller ships sacrificed themselves to protect the flagship, their pilots ejecting into the void with no guarantee of rescue. Marquez's voice crackled over the comms, calm despite the odds. "Almost there. Keep them busy." One by one, the ground nodes detonated, sending shockwaves through the Xytherian ranks. The drones faltered, their movements growing erratic as their hive mind fractured. In orbit, the Indomitable unleashed a barrage of antimatter warheads, tearing the command ship apart in a blinding explosion. The Xytherian armada shuddered, then began to retreat, their cohesion shattered. The battlefield fell silent, save for the crackle of fires and the groans of the wounded. Vrencal stood amid the wreckage, his scales coated in ash. Patel approached, his armor dented but intact. "Told you we'd pull through," the human said, clapping Vrencal's shoulder. "You're all insane," Vrencal replied, but his mandibles twitched in what might have been a smile. In the aftermath, the Coalition forces gathered in the ruins of their command post. The humans mingled with the survivors, sharing rations and crude jokes. Marquez joined Vrencal, her expression weary but triumphant. "We're not done," she said. "The Xytherians will regroup. But we've got your back." "Why?" Vrencal asked. "You're not even Coalition members. Why risk everything for us?" Marquez considered the question, then shrugged. Because that's what we do. Someone's gotta hold the line. Vrencal looked at the humans. Scarred, battered, yet unbroken. They were primitives, yes, but they fought like gods. The galaxy had underestimated them. He wouldn't make that mistake again. Hold the line, he echoed, nodding. Together. The crimson sky began to clear, and for the first time in days, Vrencal felt something like hope. The humans were coming. And the galaxy would never be the same.